It's time to hook up the solar cells. I took a look at the wires and stuff, and all we have is the option to put the solar cells in series. That'll give us 24 volts. There is no option with the wiring they give you to do a 12 volt system. So, and there seems to be some advantages to 24 volts. So that's what we got. Let's get this, see how much voltage we got in the battery. If I could do this with one hand. Okay. And looks like 12.9 volts. That's good. In the literature, I don't know how good this shows up. It may be better. I really can't tell. But it looked okay last night. So over here we have a high voltage 16 volts, low voltage of 12.6, under voltage for recovery 12.2, under voltage warning comes on at 12 volts. Low voltage, I guess they want you to disconnect it, 11.1. Over here the discharge limit is 10.6, so that's a good one to remember. They say with these gel batteries that you could bring them down to 80%, where lead acid and AGM you could only go down to 50% without ruining the life cycles or something. Okay. Well, here's the Rover 20 amp charge controller. I wanted to show you the inside of these. Oh, you can just barely see it. The first two I've got turned so you could get cables down inside. The way it comes is like this, where you got that piece of metal block in the middle. The wire that you want to put in there will not fit. So put your screwdriver in and turn it counterclockwise, and it will open up. I don't know if you can see in there. It should be opening up. Okay, so there you go. Oh, it's difficult with the light. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. You got the two solar panels, and we're going to, the very first thing you do is you connect the controller to the battery. The techs over there tell me never hook up the solar panels without the battery being connected. So here, I'm sorry, battery down here. So go on, connect your battery plus to the 20 amp fuse to the plus on the battery, then negative battery terminal, there, the two in the middle, to the negative battery terminal. Okay, then you could hook up your solar panels. They call them PV for photovoltaic, and So these are hooked up. Whoops. There. These are hooked up in series, which means you've got the positive from the charger going through the 10 amp fuse, the inline one, and then going up to the positive terminal. Then the negative terminal is hooked up to the positive terminal of the other solar panel. Then that's the positive, and then the negative goes around and goes to the negative PV photovoltaic. That was just a solar panel. So that's series. Everything's in series. It's just one big loop. Okay. If it was parallel, you'd have the positive going to the positive. While the positive of each panel would go to the positive, and then the negative of each panel would go to the negative. And they've got little splitters that you could plug them both in and do it that way. You don't have to try to cram the wires into the terminals and the charge controller. But anyway, so then once you get these hooked up, then you could hook up your inverter, and that's your load connections. And then negative to negative, positive to positive, and then you could hook up your load, which say is a fan, and it's just a regular 120. The inverter converts everything from 12 volts to 120. So you could plug that in here and operate your fan. If you want to, you could put a little terminal in here if you want to run stuff on 12 volts. Like the fan I'm going to hook up is a 12 volt fan. So you could go directly to the load, or the better is the terminal block, but I don't have one just at the moment. So I'll hook that up and see how that works. Okay, let's try it. Okay, so here's what they show you. Go and hook up the battery terminal first. And I guess, I don't know how this is going to work. Let's see. I guess we could see what's going on there. Okay, so grab one of these wires. You've got a battery connection here, and then you've got the open bare wire that you're going to be placing in the battery terminal. And then, if I could find my screwdriver, there it is. And tighten that. And they warn you not to over tighten. And it's snug. So that's the negative terminal. And then same thing, battery end. And the open wire, place that in there. Tighten that down. And seeing as all the wires are black, you don't know which one's positive, which one's negative, so be careful. Now, to this end of the positive, and these wires are like super long, they don't know where you're going to be placing them, so you do your own wires. I've got the 20 amp fuse, and take that off and place it right there. This wire is pretty stiff, so it's difficult to work with. Okay. Snug that down. I don't have any mounting positions for stuff yet. So there we go. It's pretty tight. Now on the other side, got a 2-foot red cable. So red's good. You know it's positive if it's red. But they've got these. The shrink tubing goes all the way up here. So when you clamp into it, part of the clamp's going to be on that shrink tubing, which isn't going to give you a real good fit. So I already made one cut around here, all the way around, and convince that piece that it doesn't belong there. And now when you put the bolt on there, it's going to make a good seal all the way around, and this is okay. So I'll do the same with the other side. There we go. Now it'll make a good connection. Now on the other side of the fuse, I'm going to put this one. Oops, get the washer up. And listen to that, washers. There we go. Get the washer down at the bottom there. Washer. Oops. Okay. So then we got that washer. Okay. Now we've got the fuse in line. There we go. Okay, so that's a good connection. Now next, this end will go to the positive side of the battery, and it's a red wire, so you won't make a mistake. And these long wires are a pain, but I don't know where I'm going to mount all this stuff yet, so I'm just going to leave them until I find a position for them. Okay, next they show you hooking up the negative side of the battery, hooking up the positive side of the battery. Now we're going to hook up the load, and actually I don't have anything to hook up yet, so I'm not going to hook up the load. Now we'll hook up the solar panel, and same way, except you got to be careful because you got to check these connectors. This one, there's no marking. There's no marking up here, which is positive, which is negative. But on the right there, you've got the positive, red positive, and this, it's got a red red O-ring. So I guess these are weather resistant anyway, weatherproof hopefully. But anyway, so that will go into, that's the male. And on the wires, you've got the, yeah, that's a lot of wire. You don't need that much wire, but take this off. Oh yeah. Easier said than done. Okay, back to it. So you want to find the wire here that has the female connector, would be this one. Here's the female connector. So these two would go in, but I'm not going to connect the panels just yet until I get the battery connected, just to be safe. But we do know that this will be the positive. So let's put this side in the controller. Really can't tell where the camera's pointing, but pretty wide field. Hopefully it's all in there. If not, okay, so we're going into the positive connector, and very carefully, you don't want to, the wire, it's twisted, so if you go to put it in, you could get the wire to leave this little tight bundle, and you don't want that. You want all the connections, all the wires there to make a good connection, and you got to be careful. That wire really looks too big for these connections, so let's see what we could do. Try to make it. Oh, that is ridiculous. See how it, when you go to push it in, how the wire separates? So you don't want that. So there's about 6 strands that didn't get in there. So it's worth your time to be careful and try to get them all in there. Okay. So that's in. It's in the wrong one. Okay, nice tight twist. That was right. Okay. This stuff's rigid and very hard to work with. And then you turn clockwise to tighten, and don't over tighten. That's good. You can pull on it, it doesn't come out. Then you grab the other cable. I already took that piece off the end. Make sure these are all together. And this one's the male end, and this will be the negative. So there we go. I hope this is still in frame. Okay. That's good, that's good. Good, good. Alright. So now we could drop down and hook up to the bat. Oh, first, before we do that, this is the 10 amp fuse. and that goes in line. So I put it on the positive side, which is under this bird's nest of wires. That's the negative. Is it? Okay. And this is the battery. There it is. So here's the positive end. So I'm going to put the connect these two. Little snap and it's in. Oh, I see. Then you squeeze these two to pull it back out again. They got little locks. It's pretty good. And it felt like it was a pretty good seal. So then this end, when we get to the other, when we get to the solar panel, we'll put this in. Okay, jeez. It's probably going to look like a Chinese fire drill. Yeah, would have been easier to do it in the house and confined space of the van here. And all this wire, geez, I think there's 20 foot of wire here. Because they don't know where you're going to set up the solar panels, I'll be putting them outside, and like I say, in the windows here. But okay, let's get the battery wires. It's these two. I don't like twisting them around so much. Somewhere around here. There it is. Oh, this is ridiculous, all this wire. Okay, so here's the negative end. And this, with the inline 20 amp fuse, will be the positive end. So positive, negative. Go down, hook it up to the battery. It's going to be interesting. I don't know how I'm going to film that. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Try it from up here. Now you've got these little protectors. Go and run your wire through there. You've got the bolt, the washer, and the lock washer. And put them on. What am I forgetting? Oh. This is temperature sensor. I'm going to hold off on this temperature sensor. This part goes on the battery, and then this part goes into the controller, and we'll see. Okay. Oh, that little rubber thing on there. There we go. Okay. Now we'll put it back on again. these guys up. And that's it, we're connected there. And battery's connected. And when I measured it with the voltmeter, it was 12.9 volts. And Renogy is showing it at 12.8 volts. So it's good. You know, we got something working. Okay, now let me set up the solar panels. Hold on. Okay, so here's the two solar panels, and we're going to hook up the negative female to the positive. If I can find the thing, here it is. So it is positive, and that's the male connector. Okay. Now we'll hook up the whoops, lost the picture. There's the positive male connector to so over here it's the positive on the outside, and that'll go to the female connector. Okay, then we're going to plug in the other side of the, oh, you know what, I haven't worked the controls yet, but I should tell this that we've got a gel. So here's the routine. Press here to move stuff and cycle through everything. That's where you pick up your error if there is. The arrow 0 means no errors, and that's the beginning again. Now right here you got an indicator for I think there's five different battery types, and you want to be on gel. I just put it on gel. So here's how you do it. You cycle through. That's the solar cell. That's your battery. This is the enter button. Hold that down for a second. Now you're in the mode where you could select the battery. It's blinking. Okay, you hit your up and down arrows, which I don't want to do. Well, I guess I can. It'll go to the next battery. Back to, there you go, back to the lithium. That's solid, I think. And that's the, oh. Yeah, I think that's the gel. Okay, hit enter again to select it. and you're back to your normal stage. One cycle through to get back to the beginning. There we go. Now we're back at the beginning again. And 12.8 volts and a gel battery. Okay. Well, let's connect this. It's the negative terminal. Okay, here's the connection. No indicator yet because there's no sun. Let's lift this up and get a little sun on the solar panel. Actually, let me put this on the solar panel so we could read what's going on there. Oh, that's it. Solar panel. There you go. Oops. There we go. Okay, so there's solar panel. There's solar panel to the battery. And 0. Oh, you're welcome. Okay, so I put the solar panels out, and I was up to 1.7 amps, and then the marine layer came in quickly and blocked it out. I was getting nothing. Now the marine layer is kind of there, so it's filtering out the sunlight, and it was 1.7 amps. So 1.27 or 0.27, so getting a quarter of an amp. It's good. Oh, everything's working. This is going to be a major hassle with all this wire. Yep, best bet is to figure out where it's going to go and cut all the wire lengths to fit. But the wire's just really rigid and it's difficult to work with. So if you're going to be setting it outside like I am, or up in the windows, you're going to be moving it back and forth all the time. It's not going to be easy. Oh, we're up to 0.44, almost a half an amp. The sun seems to be getting a little brighter. It's still a lot of the marine layer up there. Okay, anyway, success.